It began innocently, the way most unsettling discoveries do. Emily had returned to her childhood home one autumn weekend, helping her mother clean out the attic. The air was thick with dust, the kind that clings to your throat, and the fading light through the single attic window made everything feel frozen in time. Boxes were stacked high. Old furniture was draped with sheets, and the silence was broken only by the occasional creak of wood as they moved around. That's when Emily found the box of family photo albums. The covers were worn, the spines cracked from years of flipping, but to her, they were treasures of memory. She carried them downstairs, settling onto the living room rug to flip through pages of her past. There were birthdays, Christmas mornings, summer vacations by the lake, and countless moments of laughter captured forever. But tucked among those memories, something strange caught her eye. In one photograph, her 5th birthday, balloons floated in the background, and Emily was grinning at the cake with frosting smeared across her cheeks. But just beyond the cluster of children, half in the shadows, stood a man she didn't recognize. He wasn't celebrating, he wasn't clapping or smiling. He was just there, motionless, tall, pale, and watching. At first, Emily brushed it off. Maybe he was a family friend she couldn't remember, or a neighbor caught in the frame. But unease prickled her skin. His presence felt wrong. His expression wasn't blank, but it wasn't friendly either. It was intense, as if he had been waiting for her to notice him all these years later. Curious, Emily kept flipping. The deeper she went, the tighter her chest felt. In photo after photo, there he was again. At a picnic when she was 8, standing by a tree in the distance. At her 10th birthday, sitting at the very edge of the frame, his face partially obscured, but unmistakably the same man. By the time she reached her high school graduation photos, her hands were trembling. In one picture, as she posed with her parents, he stood behind the crowd, his dark eyes fixed directly on her. No one else seemed to notice him. He never aged, never changed, always the same hollow expression. Emily carried the album into the kitchen where her mother was washing dishes. "Mom, do you know who this is?" she asked, pointing at the figure. Her mother leaned in, squinting. "Who, honey? That's just your cousin in the back." Emily's breath caught. "No, right here, this man." But her mother frowned. "Sweetheart, I don't see anyone there." Confused and unsettled, Emily showed the pictures to her father later that night. His response was the same. He didn't see the man at all. To them, the photos were perfectly normal. Emily felt like her sanity was being tested. She decided to ask her grandmother, the family historian, who remembered everything and everyone. But when she slid the albums across the table, her grandmother stiffened, refusing to look. "You shouldn't keep looking at those pictures, Emily," her grandmother whispered, her voice trembling. "Some things aren't meant to be noticed." The warning sent a chill down Emily's spine. She wanted to press further, but her grandmother's pale face told her not to. Still, she couldn't stop herself. That night, alone in her childhood bedroom, she spread the photos across the bed. The stranger was always there, sometimes distant, sometimes closer, but never interacting. And yet, the longer she stared, the more she realized something horrifying. He wasn't just lingering in the background anymore. In more recent photos, he was closer to her. In one picture, he was standing directly behind her father, almost blending into the shadows of the room. In another, he was sitting on the couch during Christmas morning, just inches away from where she had been unwrapping gifts as a child. Her pulse raced. She flipped faster, scanning every page, every photo. And then she found it, the most recent album. There, tucked inside the clear sleeves, was a photo from her college graduation last spring. Emily stood in her cap and gown, her parents smiling proudly beside her. But just over her shoulder, directly behind them, was the man. This time he wasn't distant. This time he was smiling. The realization that he was still around, that he wasn't just a ghost of the past, sent icy dread crawling down her spine. Who was he? How had he been present in her life for decades without anyone else noticing? Sleep was impossible that night. Every creak of the old house made her jolt upright in bed. At around 3 a.m., she heard something, soft, deliberate, like paper being turned. Her gaze shot to the desk across the room. There, lying open, was one of the albums she had left closed. Her heart thudded painfully as she climbed out of bed and crept closer. The photo in the center of the open page wasn't one she recognized. It wasn't old. It was new. She froze in horror. It was a picture of her sitting in bed, wearing the same pajamas she had on right now. Behind her, in the dark corner of her room, stood the stranger. His eyes were no longer hollow. They were alive, focused, fixed entirely on her. Emily spun around, staring into the corner. Nothing. The room was empty. Trembling, she slammed the album shut, shoved it back into the box and stuffed it under her bed. But deep down, she knew it wasn't over. When the sun finally rose, she convinced herself it had been exhaustion, maybe a trick of the mind. But as she reached for her phone that morning, everything inside her froze. The lock screen had changed. It wasn't her usual background anymore. It was a photo of her, asleep in her bed. And beside her, crouching just inches from her face, was the stranger. His smile stretched wider than ever before. Emily dropped the phone, her screams echoing through the empty room. No one ever saw her after that morning, and to this day, the family albums remain locked away in the attic. But those who've peeked inside swear that in the very last pages, there's a new photo, a recent one. Emily's bedroom, perfectly captured. The bed, the dresser, the open closet door. And in the corner of the room, he's still there, waiting, smiling, as if daring someone else to notice him. Outro. If this story left you with chills, make sure to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more terrifying stories just like this. You never know, the next stranger in the photo could be watching you right now.